Hey everybody, and welcome to Sports Central. This is Mark Jackson. Joining me shortly, Gerald Richardson, my new co-host. Stick around everybody for the most exciting action in sports, and it's hot, just like Central Florida. Stick around, we'll be back. Hey everybody, welcome to Sports Central. It's good for me to be back, but it's also good for Mr. Gerald Richardson. For those of you who are directionally impaired, that would be to your left, to my right, on your television viewing screen. And Gerald, we have a special thank you here for our very first segment.
Yeah, Cabana Club. Cabana Club, man, it's a great place, great addition to Polk County. And for those who hadn't had the opportunity to get out there to see the Cabana Club Resort, you've got to get over there.
Yeah, it's the latest RV resort. It's really the top tier of RV resorts in the country. It's right there on Lake Myrtle in Auburndale. Make sure you check it out. And they have putt-putt golf, and they're right on the lake, and all
right
sorts
next
of
to the cable park.
Right next to the cable
stuff.
park. It's exciting, and they even have these permanent cabins. So people, I guess they call them cabins. So people that are, competing, or their kids are competing at Lake Myrtle, they can just pop in there, rent a golf cart, and head over and play.
Yeah, they're beautiful, beautiful cottages.
Well, this is always fun for me, and usually we do this in the spring because the event's been going on for 83 years. This will be the 83rd year. I think we had a year or two. Gene will straighten me out like he usually does about the Orange Cup Regatta, and we had a couple of years during the war, the big one. World War II, that had to postpone it, but that was understandable. But the 83rd Annual Orange Cup Regatta on Lake Hollingsworth is one of the most exciting events in Polk County the entire year. And you want to see speed, you want to see thrills, sometimes some spills. You're going to see it at the Orange Cup Regatta. Welcome aboard, Gene. It's always great to see you. Fresh off some great oysters at Gary's Oyster Bar. So. There, Gene, because like a lot of things, things have changed and had to postpone. But to your credit, and truly your credit only, well, I should say Pat, your wife, because she really runs the show.
Yes.
But the Orange Cup normally is held in the spring and is the kickoff race for the APBA in several categories. But it's moved to the fall. Tell us a little bit about what happened.
Well, in a lot of ways, we hope that that's a positive. We did cancel it back in March for a lot of reasons, obviously the virus. Mm-hmm. We were concerned about getting participants there, and we were concerned also about all of our officials because some of us are getting up in years and
spring chickens.
Oh yeah, well, that's what we were back in the spring. And, but then we started looking at it and moving it to October because generally in March we usually ended up with at least one day of bad weather. It never failed. And so we're hoping that by moving it to early October, in this case kind of mid-October because it was the only time we could get into the APBA, American Powerboat Association schedule, and hopefully in the future we can move it even closer to the 1st of October. Generally, the weather is very good at that time of year. The other thing we're hoping too is that it's at the end of the schedule for the year. You mentioned that before we were in the beginning of the year. What we're hoping is that most of particularly the inboards, well, as far as that goes, the tunnel boats or the OPCs, they all run for points, and they're cumulative over the year. So at their annual meeting then, generally in January, they will, whoever has the highest points for the year, they will receive a very nice, attractive trophy. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure there's some other perks that go with it. And then the other thing that's kind of unique about the Orange Cup is we're actually 2 races and not 1. So that means that they get points for Saturday, they get points for Sunday. And what we're banking on is that a lot of those participants and drivers and owners are going to want to come there because they're maybe a couple of points behind of being in the lead or whatever. One concern we still have a little bit, and that is we get a lot of boats from Canada, and we're a little concerned about are they going to be able to get into the States to participate. But right now, I can tell you that so far, the timing is starting to pay off. We're already getting entry applications and the whole bit. So we're really banking that this may be a plus-plus. Yeah, we had to cancel it, but it's still a while. I mean, how do you cancel something with a history of the Orange Cup Regatta?
It's virtually
I mean,
impossible.
that'd be like telling the Detroit Tigers you can't come here anymore.
Yeah.
You spoke briefly there, in regards to Canada, and I know this event brings people from all over the country.
Mm-hmm.
How many states you think will be represented this year? I know you guys normally have a large amount.
Well, generally, most of the states are up in the New England. Most of your inboard drivers now are from north of us. So most of our participants come from the east side of the Mississippi River. We have had them as far as Seattle, so last year, or the last race that we did. So, but that's primarily our market, yeah. In fact, we have what is called the East Coast Challenge, that we challenge the West Coast to come here. So,
Oh, wow.
Okay.
yeah.
Gene, there's so many classes of boats that it's hard to, and almost 30 years I've been, around the Orange Cup and just love the action. It's a great family event. You can go down to Lake Hollingsworth, take the whole family. There's food trucks, there's just all sorts of entertainments, and Gene will, in a while, talk a little bit about getting into kind of the pit area where you can at least see some of the boats and all the cool stuff there, and he can talk to some of the drivers. But the quantity of classes is almost mind-boggling, but it's really a testament to the sport that there's so much interest, in my opinion, interest in the sport itself. Tell us a little bit about the different classes, and the first question everybody, well, how fast do they go?
Well, they go pretty fast, and most of the classes are well in excess of 80 miles an hour.
Wow.
The class that you particularly like, which is the Jersey Skiffs, they're limited to their speed. They are not allowed to go faster. I believe it's 85 miles an hour. I have to read the rule book every year. But we have a couple of classes that are good for 150 miles an hour.
Wow.
In the straightaways. Wow. The Grand National Hydros, which we just introduced them the last race, they are the fastest. And the few boats that we were able to get here have gone back and told all of their folks that you need to get to the Orange Cup. So we're expecting a pretty good turnout. We have another class, which is that you're familiar with, which is the OPCs, which are the tunnel boats. Now, they do not run for records, and let me digress a minute. The course is set up for world records.
And it's surveyed too.
Well, it has to be surveyed. And then if a record is broken, we have to come in the next day and recertify it to make sure that nobody moved a buoy or anything.
Okay.
The OPCs strictly run for points, and they run a whole different race course. We have to set up a different course for them. They love 90-degree angles, and they can come up on those things wide open and put that nose down and it's actually spin around the buoy. We've knocked that up a little bit in horsepower this year. We've gone from 150 to 200 horsepower.
Ooh.
So these are all tunnel boats. In fact, most of our classes, with the exception of the Journey Skiff and what we call the Sportsman Advanced, which is a SAE, they have open cockpits, but all the rest of them have enclosed cockpits. They're on oxygen. They are attached. They have two-way radio. They're talking to their shore people constantly. So we have to get into, and this is the part that I always like to talk about, Mark, and that is safety. I mean, that is the #1 priority. We have to have ambulances on site. we have to have 4 divers on the lake at all times. So that if we have a blowover, well, then they can get in, and they'll go around in the pit area beforehand and study everybody's hatches on how to get them out. Some of the boats nowadays are coming with hatches on the bottom of the boat. So if they're upside down, we can open that hatch and pull them out through the bottom of the boat.
Okay.
So that's the #1 priority. But going back to speed, we've got a lot of classes. We're running about, I think it's 12 different classes.
Wow.
They run 2 heats every day. And so it's a full day. I mean, it keeps us busy, and we have to crane all the boats in. So we have cranes there that are craning them in. One of the most important jobs that we have, and Jeff Titus heads that up for us, is the pit area. Because we're putting in 1 class while we're taking them 1 class out. I mean, everybody's moving and moving fast. So
Wonderful. I know we're getting close, but for people who want to come out, what info do they need to know in regards to parking, viewing areas, concessions?
Well, the viewing area is predominantly all around the south side of the lake. The biggest area would be to the west of the Lakeland Club. And right now, one of the shortfalls that we've had for many, many years is those folks don't know what we're doing. They just know that the boats are out running. So we're spending a lot of time trying to devise a communications setup so that they can hear our announcer and exactly what all's going on. Mark mentioned the pit area. We're somewhat restricted as to who can come into the pit area strictly from a liability standpoint. We don't allow any smoking. We don't allow any open-toe shoes. And when we're craning those boats, we don't allow anybody to be under them. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on down there. But as Mark mentioned earlier, there's no charge. And some of the spectators, a lot of them will walk over, and we have it fenced in, but you can see a lot from just on the outside of the fence area.
Well, the dates for the 2021 Orange Cup Regatta are 15th through 16 and 17, and I think, Gene, the 15th is sort of a practice day still?
Well, it does 2 things on the 15th. #1, it's registration. #2, we take them to we have what we call a dunk test. Every year, the drivers have to have passed the dunk test, which is a capsule that we kick in the pool. We have to have our divers there, and they have to get out of that, practice getting out of that capsule. Now, moving them to the YMCA, they're a little slower getting out than they used to when we were kicking them off the dock at the yacht club, because we would always tell them there was an alligator under the dock, and they came out a lot faster. So we do that in the morning, and then we'll start giving them practice time that afternoon. And then Saturday morning we start racing.
All right, everybody. Well, that's about a month and a half away, so make sure you put that on your calendar, the Orange Cup Regatta. And you can also go to visitcentralflorida.org and get more information about it. Just call Polk County Sports Marketing, and they'll fill you in. But it's a great time. It's a free event, and it's some of the best racing in the world. And they don't call Lake Hollingsworth the chain of not the chain of records, but the Lake of Records for nothing. So make sure you check that out. But for now, we do have some footage for you to take a look at. Check this out. I like that phrase today. Check this out, everybody. And we'll be back right after this.
this is my 30th year racing. I've been coming to this race for about 25 years, and it's just something that you get a passion for, and it's hard to give up. I went offshore fishing a long time ago, and the water was so rough we couldn't fish. So we come back inshore to get the boat back on the trailer and go back home, and we couldn't get to the trailer because there was so many boats around, and it was the nationals from OPC. So we sat there for 2 days and watched it, and 3 months later I decided to buy a boat. I started out with a 25 horse boat, and it also had trim in it, so you learn how to trim the motor in and out and what to do in the turns. And then as I progressed, I got a bigger boat and a bigger boat, more horsepower. And as you go up the ladder, everything happens faster. So you just have to keep your wits with you. I call this stress relief. So whenever I get here and get in my boat, I don't think of anything other than what I'm fixing to do. And I'm trying to win. You just keep pushing, and you keep watching and waiting for them to make a mistake. And you hope they will, but you don't want them to hurt themselves, but you want them to maybe skip out or take the turn too tight and do a flat spin so that you can get around them. Because it's very tough with the competition today. We're all so equally speed that it's really tough to get around somebody if they get the jump on you at the start. I've been involved in many crashes, and knock on wood, I hope to never be hurt. I've been close, and raced the next day. But it takes a lot of patience and ingenuity to get things going for the next day and to keep at peace with what's going on. Like I say, I've been racing here 25 years, so I really enjoy it. It's a great lake, and one day I might come up here and do some fishing, but so far I've only come up and raced on it, and it's a great venue because there's spectators all around the lake. There's a lot less boats today than there used to be in each class and category. And I think part of that is the economy and tech. Tech has really gotten a lot of the younger people that used to get into the sport, they stay indoors now and they don't get out and do things that we did whenever we were young. And so it kind of takes away where they don't really want to spend the weekend sitting on the water or watching the wind blow all weekend, because they've got better things they can do and they don't have as much focus. And that's kind of what I see is, we learn focus, endurance, and patience. And a lot of people today don't have much patience. I would try to get them to get into the sport just to show up and hang around it for a while and see the camaraderie of what happens whenever there's a crash or where somebody beats you by 3 seconds and you go shake hands and you're friends, and if you crash, you help each other repair stuff. It becomes a family, and to be part of that family is one of the greatest things you could ever wish for.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Sports Central. Man, what a great day and a lot of great stuff coming up here in the world of sports in Central Florida's Polk County, and thanks so much for joining us. If you are just joining us, shame on you. I'm Mark Jackson. This is Gerald Richardson, new to the set and my new co-host here on Sports Central.
Yeah, week 2 for me. Had the pleasure of breaking in with Neil.
But, I'm sorry.
Yeah, somebody has to.
Yeah.
But this segment brought to us by our friends over at the Hilton Garden Inn there by the airport.
Yeah. When he says by the airport, that means in Lakeland. Great place. And great times had by one and all. But one of the things Polk County is known for, obviously, is sports. You know, professional sports, the amateur sports, and most of you already know about the Polk County All Sports Awards and Hall of Fame that takes place in June that really celebrates all sports. But for years here in Polk County, actually dating back to 1925, when Polk County won its first state high school championships in the sport of football, football has really dominated the academic scene, if you will, the secondary education scene, and for good reasons. But that's a great feeder tool, if you will, for the collegiate ranks. And now we have a number of colleges here in Polk County that have great football programs with great people running it. And one of those great people is Eric Pachet. I knew I was going to get this one wrong. We just call him Coach P. How is that? He's been with Webber. Man, I had that right there, too. That's just, you know, knocking a little rust off here.
You're not the first person to mess it up.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Well, we had, it was funny, not last week, the weekend before, then the weekend before that, 2 weekends, 3 days each, and it was 13 to 14 hours per day sitting in front of a mic. And maybe my brain is just fried sitting outside, but that was up in Wisconsin promoting the sport of water skiing here. But I've gotten a little bit off track, which is not hard to do. Anyway, Coach P, you've kind of taken the School of Hard Knocks approach to becoming the head coach for Webber. And you know, Webber is a great university down in Babson Park, and the program itself has seen a lot of successes. I mean, you were there from the beginning, you know, when it was, I think they called you the Shed Boys or something, if my memory serves me correctly. And so you've been around, you know the history of the program. There's nothing that can compete with institutional knowledge and how the program works and the talent that exists right here in Central Florida. But first, congratulations for that.
Appreciate it.
But you got a schedule coming up this year, and like soon, 3 of the top teams in the country coming up as your first 3 teams. I mean, it's like, whoa, can it get any tougher than that?
Yeah, our schedule is definitely tough this year. We actually ended up moving our first game next week to a Thursday night. So our first game is actually next Thursday, and it's in Columbia, Kentucky. We play Lindsey Wilson College, who is the defending national champion. But our first home game will be September 11th against Georgetown, and they're ranked, I think, like 15th right now. But that'll be our first home game, September 11th.
Wow, September 11th, just around the corner. I know you're, like you say, opening up with previous national champs, #1 preseason Lindsey Wilson, just 6 days away. That's, man, you got to be itching. First season as the head coach and someone who initially was with the inaugural team. Just speak about that, you know, what it's got to be for you to be a part of, you know, day one of Webber football, and now here you are, as Mark said, kind of went through the way you did, and the head coach now. What's that mean to you?
Well, it's been a process,
Yeah.
I tell you that. But I think it kind of gives you more of a sense of pride in the university and the program, just from how long I've been there as a player. And yes, as you stated, one of the Shed Boys. And interesting, obviously most people don't know about that, but that term basically came from our locker room was 2 garden sheds. And that's where we didn't have a locker room. That's where we would change before practice. When we got done with practice, we would change there. And that first year, we had actually practiced at a middle school field.
Wow.
And so we would literally have to go to our locker room, the sheds, get dressed there, get on 2 school buses. We would drive to the middle school, practice, and then come back and change out of our stuff, put our equipment, everything in there. And they were not air conditioning either. The only AC you had was open the front door. So
It is old school.
Yeah.
You didn't have leather helmets back then, did you?
we should have.
They may not have had helmets.
Yeah.
But that's where the term Shed Boys came from, because we literally were in sheds.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, the route that you came up, the defensive route.
Yes,
You
sir.
know, everybody you talk to is going to have a different opinion. Well, should it be offensive? Should it be defensive? What's the focus tonight? How do you balance that? You came up as defensive coordinator, but if you don't score points, you don't win a game.
Right.
But you can also shut people down real quick and with
Yep.
an intimate knowledge of how defenses work effectively. And how do you balance that?
It is tough. So we've kind of taken the approach now to try to get. Obviously, we're trying to pull everything more together, and to get it more even. And we've kind of done some creative things, even with personnel and different things from the spring, to try to balance that. And we have a couple guys that might play both ways for us. It's just for us to try to get the best players on the field. But one of the difficult things for me was having been the defensive coordinator for so long and not really as involved with the offense, I wasn't able to really build relationships with the offensive players. So that's something that we had to try to do, real early and kind of fix that, and just to be able to bridge the gap between the offense and defensive guys, because everybody on one side of the ball, of course, I knew who they were and the way we practiced and we met all the time. So I was able to generate relationships with those guys, but trying to bridge the gap between offense and defense and try to bridge relationships there. So that's something that we've been working on, since January, really through spring ball and all that stuff.
Yeah, as we were talking, opening up against a defending national championship team with Lindsey Wilson, how is your guys? How are they looking forward to that? Are they pumped? Is it one of those things? I know sometimes opening up like that, it really you got to buckle down practices,
Yeah.
Days leading up. What's the approach for your team leading into that game?
Yeah, well, I mean, we talk about it all the time because I want to be transparent with our team. And for us, I told them it's not about us preparing everything to get ready to play Lindsey Wilson. It's about us preparing and trying to be the best team that we can be. And it's about getting them to buy into the process of, going to work every day. And whether that's, in the weight room, in the film room, meeting rooms, learning what we're doing on practice, to be able to just get a little bit better at something every day. And the measuring stick for us is not going to be Lindsey Wilson. It's not going to be Georgetown College next week. It's going to be for us trying to put ourselves in the best situation to be able to go compete. And I think they've done that all camp. And we've had a good fall camp, and the guys they're practicing hard and they're competing every day. And I think from that aspect, it's just get them to understand and buy into the process.
Part of the success of any football team, for that matter, pros down to the peewees, is finding the right mix of talent. Now, I mean, just on the field, but also in the locker room. So many writers overlook what goes on in the locker room. But that's part of the chemistry that's being built to form a championship team. How do you handle that?
I think that's the toughest part about any team, is trying to have enough leadership, have the right leadership, guys that can really take on that role. One of our quotes that we say throughout the year and since the beginning, that we've got signs kind of posted in our locker room, is be for the team. So trying to get them to understand that mindset, that it's not about them, it's about all of us together. So that's something that we've been really preaching to them for the whole time. And they're asking, people ask all the time, like, Coach, how good are you guys going to be? And I told the team this too. I said, I don't know. We've got a good group of returners coming back. We're going to have a huge class we have a huge class of incoming guys and it's just a matter of how quick that they can come together and play for each other. And, if we can eliminate a lot of the selfishness things, which I think we have, and stick to our be for the team motto, I think we've got a shot to be competitive.
Yeah, that's awesome. Just for you, I like to say, kind of going back, I know it was amazing, for you to kind of the journey you took, and now just the third coach in the history of the school. What coming before you, the coaches before you, I know you spoke a little bit in some articles that I've seen, learning from him. What are some of those things that you took from some of your mentors previous coaches to be able to distribute to your team in your coaching?
I mean, first of all, I've obviously been at Webber since the start. I played under Coach Schaefer, who was our first head coach. And then Coach Scott was our next head coach, who was also our defensive coordinator. So it was definitely interesting to obviously play under those guys and then stay and become the head coach. But I think just, a lot of valuable things that learned from any head coach, back from high school to different relationships that I have with other people in the profession, and just being able to, network with those people, kind of learning bits and pieces from everybody. But I think the biggest thing that we've kind of tried to do, and especially since we've kind of taken over things, is making sure our culture is strong. You talked about the locker room, and I think that's the first place that we started. I think if our culture is right, then that kind of lays the foundation for everything else on top of that. So I'm big on discipline and accountability, and if we can get high character kids in our program, we talk about those three things all the time, and I think that those three things, if you have a good foundation, kind of develops that winning mindset.
Well, let's hope that winning mindset and under your leadership proves to be fruitful. But we talked about the first game being on the road against the defending national champions, Lindsey Wilson. But your first home game, and I know a lot of our viewers, hey, Saturday I can go out and check out what's happening. Where are you playing this year? And when's your first home game so people come out and root you on?
September 11th.
Okay.
We have a new turf field on our campus. They put that in a couple years ago. So that's definitely huge for us because we've kind of traveled around here over the last several years. So now we have our own turf field on campus, and we're working on developing that into an actual stadium.
Okay.
So it's moving in the right direction.
Well, September 11th, there you have it, everybody, 9-1-1. And let's hope it's a wonderful season for Webber. And Coach P, thank you so much for joining us. It was great to see you, and congratulations again. I think they made a good decision. And, football's big here in Polk County. It has been for years. And, this is like Sesame Street. Hello, everybody. What is that guy, Cookie Monster? Is that what he says? Anyway, there you go. Little diversion.
We need to get you a cookie.
Yeah. Maybe I'll get a cookie after this. But fact of the matter is, we have some great footage from the World Flag Football Championships. Flag football, tackle football, they're out there competing, and they're out there doing something. They're off the couch. They're not playing with their cell phones and all of that type of stuff. Kudos to them. Check out this World Championship football video put together by our very own PGTV. Stick around, everybody, for segment number 3 coming up next.
I am the co-founder of the Flag Football World Championship Tour. The Flag Football World Championship Tour is a series of flag football tournaments all across the country, internationally as well. So this is our East Coast National Championships this weekend, and we'll be back here next year for our National Championships as well. So we're going to have, I think, 13 different divisions playing in this tournament. Youth age 6 all the way up to 16, adults as well. There's going to be over 100 teams competing. So when we started, we had been players ourselves for a long time. We competed in tournaments, and we built the Flag Football World Championship Tour from there. Started putting on smaller events, grew into larger events, just trying to provide a different experience for the players. Football obviously is the more popular sport across the country, but flag football is growing very fast at the youth and at the adult level as well. You get pro athletes and former pro athletes that will come out and play in our flag football events. I mean, these are not just recreational players. These are elite level players. And at the youth level, it's growing in large part, I guess, to the scare sense of concussions. Just in general, the sport has grown internationally, and so there's a big movement right now in the sport, you know, from a league all the way up to a tournament level. Built the World Tour, as we said, we were players. We played at an elite level all over the country, and we just saw a gap in the quality of the events and sponsorship that was provided, cash prizes, and kind of just the fanfare around it. So we set out to kind of create something we thought the players would really enjoy and love, and so this is kind of what we created from that.
Hey, we're rolling, everybody, and this is Sports Central. I'm Mark Jackson, Gerald Richardson to your left, to my right, and we're coming up on segment number 3, Gerald.
Yeah, our friends, this segment sponsored by our friends Office Furniture Depot. Great place to get everything you need when it comes to furniture.
Yep, I'd just like to go in there and just look around.
Yeah,
man, I could use that.
If you need a desk, they got any kind you can think of.
Yep, an official sponsor also of the Polk County Sports Hall of Fame.
Yep.
And you know, this is another one of those great companies here in Polk County that gives back to the community, and just can't say enough about them. They're fantastic. And speaking of fantastic, a guy that stacks a lot of scramble golf tournaments in this county and elsewhere, Robbie Davis, the head coach at the Florida Southern Championship golf team. And these guys are just like on a run that is second to none right now. And Robbie, it's great to have you on board. I think you've been around for 24 years?
Yeah, starting my 25th, Mark, yes.
That doesn't seem possible.
Yes.
I won't tell you. And hey, and by the way, I did get corrected, you know, during the break about Cookie Monster, you know, from Sesame Seed, because we got a little issue here with hello, everybody. But it's really Oscar the Grouch that comes out of the trash can.
There you go.
You know, so anyway, for all of you folks out there with little kids and, you know, you call in and say, he doesn't know what he's talking about, you're right, because I haven't had any for about 25 years. So there you go.
I got a feeling next week that's going to be screwed down.
I have a feeling it is too. All right, everybody.
Oh, goodness.
And by the way, if you're wondering who put me up to that, I can blame that on Brian Lacey, our producer for today. So there you have it. Anyway, we'll get back to the topic at hand. Can't take this stuff too seriously,
man.
everybody. But you know, Robbie, you've had a track record that I've sat back and doggone, he is good. How do you do it? And it's about as simple as I can put it. How do you do it? Year after year, you produce all these champions and championship teams.
Well, thank you. I'm surrounded myself by successful people, and Florida Southern has had a great, rich history of great golf programs and great athletes, and obviously great sports and coaches that I've been able to be around. And so I get to mimic a lot what they do and take a lot what I've learned from other coaches and other people to be able to do that. But we're fortunate because we have great weather here in Central Florida, and that produces a lot of great athletes, especially for golf, to come down here and really turn their game to another level to get to play year round.
Yeah.
Well, as you can see, humility is sort of a trademark of Robbie, always has been, and it's a great trait. But I'm going to turn it over to Gerald a little bit here, who, if you don't know, was the executive director of the First Tee of Lakeland and also the YMCA in Lakeland for many, many years. And you want to stack your golf team, you better talk to this guy over here. But he is a golf aficionado as well. Gerald?
Yeah, no, I know you guys kick off here in a couple of weeks, I believe, and as we were speaking before we went on with, just talk a little bit about, kind of I don't know if it's really challenges, but how you've dealt with, with last year with the COVID and with the way everything is with eligibility and the rulings with, students getting an extra year of eligibility, and how that's kind of formed with recruiting. Typical year, you got your seniors that are gone, you got 2 or 3, how many seniors you had graduate, open spots, and you can bring those in. But with the COVID and that eligibility rule kind of going the way it did, how did that kind of impact this upcoming season, and then also, as I said, recruiting?
Right. Yeah, the last couple of years have been a whirlwind. It's been so different. We've had to change a lot of our ways of coaching and way of doing things. You've had to become very flexible to the different things that are going to be happening. So it's been a change, but I think it's helped us to be a little more flexible in the way we do things and creative, and so that's helped because you had to do things differently. But for us next year, it's obviously going to be able to be an opportunity. I'm going to have the potential of having maybe 5 fifth-year seniors on a team, which usually that equates to some really good play. With that type of experience over other opponents, you're going to have a really edge on them to be able to go to another level of experience that they're not going to have. And so I'm going to hopefully use that as an advantage, and with that, it's going to hopefully help with recruiting. They're going to hopefully see that we have an experienced team and want to be a part of that, hopefully, for the future.
Yeah, that's awesome. In regards to team, I've kind of always kind of admired the fact, and the players got to be there to be able to recruit, but yourself and going back to Coach Gordon and even Lee now with the men's team of recruiting locally, making sure you keep that eye open for those local players. And I know Lauren Perez, who's a part of the program, but just talk about that briefly, and as we were talking beforehand, Amanda Gartrell, who's graduated and moved on to play professionally, just of being able to keep that eye of local players and keep that homegrown talent right here.
Yes, it's special when you play for your hometown. People see you around town when your things, and Mark played in a tournament with her recently, Amanda Gartrell. She just graduated, went to tour school, and Lauren Perez with her, homegrown from Bartow. It's neat for those people to have that community to be able to play for someone, play for a school that they've seen and been a part of for their whole life. So I definitely like to recruit local first, and then the state, and then if we have to, go out of the state for recruits. But you definitely want to get those people that are local first and want to be able to play for something special that they've grown up and seen. So
yeah, and speaking of that, I know, I'm sure it's probably, and you can speak of it, one of the things that are proud of, seeing your former athletes and students move along and progress and go into greater things. But opening the season with Nova Southeastern and Heather Bergner, call her
Yes.
Bergner, Heather Wall now
Heather
it
Wall,
is.
yeah.
But another local talent. You know, I
Yeah.
think she went to Lakeland High School, I believe it was, and played for you, graduated, and is now the head coach with Nova Southeastern.
Southeastern. Yeah, she went to George Jenkins.
Excuse me.
Yeah, and is now coaching at obviously a rival in our conference, Nova Southeastern, and she's hosting the NCAA regional, and so that's why she's hosting this preview that we're going to go start with. So it's going to be all the top schools in our region playing in the first event. So it's no warm up for us. We have to go right in and basically start playing our best right off the bat. And you know, it's great to be able to see a player become a coach and see how they do things and to see their passion for the game of golf. And that's what I see in Heather. She has a true passion for what she does, and that's why she has a great team, and that's why she's a great golfer still. She still plays competitively. That little person that is so nice, but when she puts the tee in the ground, she's ready to beat you. So that's why she's good as she is. But it's special for that, to be able to see those people that you coach grow up and become great at what they do outside of golf.
Yeah.
Robbie, the golf season itself, college, collegiate, NCAA Division II, seasons maybe a little bit different. Tell us about, you know, kick it off with Nova Southeastern. You know, I think that's the 12th. Is it the 12th of September?
13th.
And then how long does how many matches do you play? And then once the season, not the season, but you know, once the regular season is over, then you get into tournament play, so to speak. What does that look like?
So our season is basically year-round for golf. We have a quick fall season. We play 5 tournaments in 7 weeks.
Wow.
Then we have a short break of November, December, let them catch their breath, and then we basically start up February, first week of February, with 7 events in the spring that lead you to the postseason. So it all counts the same. September events count the same as the April events. It's all one big year, and what's amazing is that it usually comes down to 1 or 2 shots that basically qualifies the team for regional. It's amazing how over 1,000, 1,200 shots, it's coming down to 1.
That's incredible. It speaks to the talent in this conference, you know, in this region. We've got to wrap this. Unfortunately, I've got 1,000 other questions I'd like to ask you, but if people want more information about not only where you guys are playing, when you're playing, or if they have a child, young lady that would like to get into the program, how do they do that? Who do they contact?
Yeah, we have a great sports website at Florida Southern, fscmox.com. You can go that, check our schedule out, check out all the events. We've got over 500 athletes this year at Florida Southern, so
wow,
a lot going on, and everybody's eager to start doing it.
Well, congratulations on going into year 25. I mean, that's a record that, in fact, I think you're the longest tenured golf coach in Florida Southern history.
Yeah, we've had a lot with Coach Matlock, Coach Gordon, and now me, so hopefully I can hang on a few more years.
Well, all names synonymous with sports in Polk County and arguably in the state of Florida nationwide. So once again, congratulations. It's always great to have you on board.
Thank
It always
you,
makes
Mark.
me smile.
Thank you, Gerald.
So there we have it. Well, everybody, you know, this is one of my favorite parts of the entire show. And it's the up close and personal is what I call it, but our producer says, no, you can't do that. You have to call it the athlete spotlight. And I said, okay, I'll change it then. So now it's the athlete spotlight. Ashton, Newman, and Alejandro Corea are, we'll do this grammatically correct, otherwise Oscar is going to come out and straighten me out. But they're involved in mountain biking. You know, one of the things we have here in Polk County is such diversity in the world of sports and the type of sports and the people that play sports. Check this out, everybody. A little bit of mountain biking from Ashton, Newman, Alejandro Corea. We'll be back.
It's mountain biking. I got involved, I think, like 4 or 5 years ago. I started with BMX, and when my local track got closed down, I started riding. And over time, I did like some of the local races here, and then I eventually came into this.
Well, it started with my dad. He started to bike ride, and then he decided that I should bike ride as well. So we just started to bike ride, and that all happened like in 2012, I think. So every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, we always go riding. And we mostly spend around 2 hours here. And before, I wasn't really good at this, but after a lot of bike riding, I've gotten a lot better.
Yeah, it really doesn't take much. It really just looking forward, make sure not to try like see where's the best line, like if you're gonna fit or not. And also varies on the type of bike. So like some bikes have bigger bars, so there's different ways to maneuver with those, and ones are shorter, which is the length from here to here. And like for a sport, you just need a bike. Like it's really nothing special. Like, yeah, the more you get into it, like nicer bikes, but I've seen people with like just simple like $500 bikes, which is like will get you is pretty decent.
I joined the team. I didn't like it at first, but after I met a few people, I started to enjoy it a lot. And what we do is just we ride around, do a few laps, warm up, and then we head on to the trails. We have 3 groups, a fast group, a normal group, and a slow group. And we just go at our own pace, and wherever we stop, we just like to take breaks and just chat for a while. In order to get good at the sport, it takes dedication and practice.
Yeah, this is really nice. It's like there's so many. It's really easy to ride. There's like all sorts of different trails for all sorts of different skill levels. And I guess it's the convenient part is you can just pop out anywhere and be right back at the car, which is good for like newer people that are just getting into the sport and want to just try it for a little bit and see how they do. And it's open and just like the building club here that builds everything here are really supportive. And
Well, you can basically travel anywhere if there's a trail. It's really fun, really, once you get to know the trails. The trails here, they're not too hard, but they're really fun to go on. Some of them are difficult, some of them are easy, but that's the whole point. And the most point is to have fun.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Mark Jackson along with Gerald Richardson. And Gerald, this mountain biking stuff, probably the toughest I've ever done. And I'm not a regular mountain bike guy, but was in the foothills around Pikes Peak.
Oh,
and a
wow.
buddy of mine that worked for the U.S. Olympic Committee, and in the sports science department. He's a scientist, engineer type guy. And he took me out, we'll just go for an easy ride. And, oh man, he and his kid just busted my
I can imagine. I can imagine up in there. This, before we move along too far, segment sponsored by our friends at Holiday Inn in Winter Haven.
Absolutely, right down there next to the Hampton Inn and Outback Steakhouse and all of that good stuff. And you know, a lot of people have been asking us about the status of, you know, how are sports going, how's tourism going, and you know, sports being the really what has driven tourism, at least here in Polk County, since COVID started, because we reopened back in June of 2020, really led the way out of the great economic malaise that we underwent. But we're truly thankful for that. But we do have some really superb sporting events coming up here in just a week or so. This weekend,
this weekend. A few events this weekend. The Sunshine State Athletic Conference having a big volleyball event there at the field house. And if you haven't got a chance to get over to see the field house, wow, you've got to see that. That's a good opportunity for that. And then also at Diamondplex this weekend, Freedom Softball has a large event there, and then kind of wrapping up the weekend, the Jim Ryan Invitational out at Holloway Park.
Yeah, Jim Ryan was had been on this show. Just great, really involved in Christian ministries and other really neat stuff. Just a great human being.
Yeah,
you know, just
great guy.
yeah, absolutely. And then, you know, something that I know Polk County Sports Marketing and the Board of County Commissioners are really, really proud of is the Pan American Lacrosse Association. Now, it is the official governing body underneath the International Olympic Committee, the IOC. They are a continental federation, and it is just an honor to have their headquarters based at Lake Myrtle. And they have a huge event, the Pan American Lacrosse Sixes Club. Now, that is going to be the step into the Olympic Games for lacrosse. And so this is really an honor. It will be in the next Olympic quadrennium. Now it's 3 years until the next Summer Games, but that's a big deal. You want to see some of the best lacrosse players in the world? Come out to Lake Myrtle, and the dates of that event are September 3rd through the 5th. So you want to see what lacrosse is all about at the highest level, check that out. Gerald, we got some people to thank.
Yeah, big thank to our sponsors, Cleveland Heights Golf Course, Hall Communications, Staybridge Suites, BSN Sports, People's Barbecue, and then also our good friends at our sister station WLKF, 1430 AM and 96.7 FM.
There you go. That's our ugly sister station on radio, but you can check that out on Thursdays, everybody, from 5 to 6, one of the hottest shows in the market, in the Central Florida marketplace. So Sports Central on radio, and this guy here is one of the hosts. Thanks so much for joining us. This is Mark Jackson for Gerald Richardson, and don't forget, everybody, our next live show, September 10th, same bat time, same bat channel. Tune us in, everyone. We'll see you again next time.